Hey guys, welcome back. Mama Dr. Jones, OBGYN and mom to 4. You guys, I never thought I would be a drama channel, but here we are. I am not usually uploading on this day. Typically, Mondays with MDJ is our shebang around here. I don't know what shebang means, but that's when I usually upload. As you know from the title, we're talking about the rapper T.I. and his recent comments regarding his daughter's virginity. You heard that right. He's publicly commenting on his daughter's virginity. Yeah, that's strike one. We're going to talk about the hymen. This video is definitely getting demonetized. And we're going to talk about why this matters and why it's important that we debunk these myths. If you've never been here before, or you have and you're not subscribed, hit that little subscribe button, and we're going to jump into the content right after this. All right, so let's just start out by watching together a clip from the podcast, which, by the way, has now been removed. Shocker. We're going to listen to it together.
Had the sex talk with your daughters?
Have I? We go.
Which, by the way, your daughters are so beautiful.
So beautiful.
So,
Thank you so much.
I'm sure you have your hands full.
And like the other one's
absolutely.
18, so she definitely knows about sex.
See,
but
this
I'm
is
just
the
saying.
thing.
It's Deyjah, right? She's 18,
Yes,
right?
Deyjah's 18, just graduated high school now, and she's attending her first year of college, figuring it out for herself. And yes, not only have we had the conversation, we have yearly trips to the gynecologist to check her height.
Oh, okay.
I'm done with you right now.
So, you know.
Do you go with her?
She's a prisoner.
Yes, I go with her.
Somebody check on
I
Deyjah.
go with her.
Okay, we're going to stop it there. There's a lot more to this, including him talking about how he got consent to get her information like this. I can't get any further. This podcast interview, which goes on, many outlets have covered it. You guys can find the rest of it, I'm sure, re-uploaded somewhere. It's taken down now. It represents a couple of issues with just general ignorance surrounding anatomy and purpose of several structures of the vulva. So we're going to focus on the hymen today. What is a hymen? Hymen is a ring of tissue that is just inside the vaginal vault, and its purpose in childhood was very well explained in a series of tweets by Dr. Jen Gunter, and I will link this below because she's much better at explaining it than me. But basically, it serves as a barrier to infection and urine and feces when you are a baby. So past toddler age, this doesn't have a purpose. It is not a chastity thing. It is not a religious thing. It doesn't have to do with sex, period. And it also has no correlation to whether someone has had sex. It has historically been referred to as popping a cherry or blood on the bed sheets after the wedding. It is a misogynistic creation that became used against women and has roots in honor culture and female genital mutilation culture. I would never want to minimize the female genital mutilation talk by correlating these two things. They have similar roots. Now, the hymen can have many, many shapes. So in some people, the hymen is a full ring. In some people, it is horseshoe shaped. In some people, it's almost a full ring with just a small section at the bottom that is disrupted. And in some people, it always stays that way. And in some people, it changes either from using tampons or fingers or from riding horses or doing gymnastics or just day-to-day life. There are many things that can change the shape of the hymen, but importantly, you can be born with any shape of hymen. Even some people have what is called cribiform or imperforate hymen. It's just, it doesn't have to do with sex. It's wrong. Rooted in misogyny and a culture of controlling women. So that's a good segue into number 2, which is the culture of controlling your wife or daughter. What T.I. is saying here essentially is that every year he goes to the gynecologist with his daughter and forces her to get an exam that she does not need in order to confirm that she is a virgin. Now, there are clearly several problems with this. One, this is extremely controlling and manipulative. I can see very few reasons why a father figure ever needs to go to the gynecologist with his child. I can see a few reasons. This is not one of them. 2, this idea that virginity is some thing that you put on a pedestal and once it's gone, and people who don't have it are dirty. And then this other mixed in culture of being able to take that from someone. It's just, we have to get rid of these ideas. They hurt people. I see people in my office every week who have been hurt by purity culture like this, that have been told that sex is dirty, that sex before marriage makes them unacceptable, that they won't be able to find a significant other in the future who likes them or loves them fully, that it makes you a chewed piece of gum, that you carry all this baggage. And it's just simply not true. If someone chooses not to have sex before they are married, that is their personal choice. However, if someone chooses not to have that as their belief, the idea that you can't talk about it or that you have to be taken to a doctor to confirm that you're a virgin makes that practice unsafe. Meaning, we know a lot of adolescents are not going to wait until they are in a monogamous relationship and getting married to have intercourse. We know that. Statistically, we know that. And a lot of you watching this know that because you've walked that path too and you know what it's like. So when you decide that you're going to take this stance of all or none, and your child is going to be afraid of you if they have had a sexual encounter, you block that line of communication. Now, they can't come to you when they have questions, when they have concerns, if they've been assaulted, if they've been involved in a sexual encounter that they didn't feel like was consensual. You want your child to be able to come to you with that. And when you treat sex like this, like he's referring to in this podcast, you wipe that out. So what T.I can't count on is any reliable information from this exam, but what he can count on is that his daughter is never coming to him with a problem. She's going to go find somebody else. And in this case, that's great because I don't think she should go to him because he's going to give her bad information. We can tell that just from his attitude in this podcast. But in a lot of situations, this isn't done quite on such a misogynistic level. It's kind of implied throughout a person's life through religious or purity culture that you are meaningless if you've had intercourse, or that you're wrong, or you shouldn't have done that, or you're bad, or you're dirty. And all this does is serve to make you not the direct line of communication for your children. So I'm not saying anybody should be out there telling their kids they should have sex. I am saying our discussion about sex with our kids should be, hey, this is a natural part of growing up. And at some point, I want you to be involved in a healthy sexual relationship. I'm a mom. I get it. I would like to think that's never going to happen. But at the same time, I don't really want to think that's never going to happen. I want my kids to grow up with a healthy understanding of their relationship and what consent is and what sex is and when it's okay and when it's not. Not just this, we don't talk about it, it's bad. That is not healthy. And it's quite honestly dangerous, particularly when it's carried out in the way that it seems to be carried out in the case of this famous person and his daughter. 3rd, I don't care what you're talking about. There is absolutely no situation where you should be able to blast this kind of personal information about your child to the world. Shame on you. I know T.I will never watch this, but if you're out there doing things like this to your child, shame on you. That is nauseating. I can't imagine being an 18-year-old college student and having my father, I can't even think about it. It's just absolutely horrible. You don't talk about this on a national platform. You don't talk about that even with your friends. And you can tell in the podcast, the people listening, they say, you know, you hear it like it gets uncomfortable and they're like, oh my gosh, she's in prison. And they say it kind of jokingly, right? But you can tell those women in that podcast, they don't feel like this is a joke. And someone says someone should check on Deyjah. Yes, someone check on her. This makes me scared for what kind of environment she grew up in. If this person was in my clinic, I would be worried that there was some sort of abuse going on at home. And again, I am not proposing that that is happening. I'm just saying anytime a person feels this much control over someone else, there is an element of that that can transcend into a physical abuse as well. I don't know that any of that's going on. I have no further information than what you guys have in this podcast, but that kind of controlling behavior is absolutely something linked to an increased possibility of further abuse or controlling tactics going on in the home. Okay, now 4. The idea that a physician would participate in this kind of practice makes me ill. If someone came into my office and said, I want you to test my child's virginity, I would tell them there is absolutely no medical way to do that. And the only way to do that is by you to talk to them. And if you want them to trust you, you better never bring them back to my office in this manner again, because you will never get accurate information from your child if the way that you think you should go about doing that is by forcing them into an unnecessary and invasive pelvic exam in a GYN clinic. I would never participate in this in my own practice. This type of virginity testing is medically unnecessary, completely inaccurate, invasive, and has the potential for major social and psychological harm in the person it's being performed on. She is now going to associate going to the gynecologist with being controlled by her father, probably decreases the chances that she's going to get regular, appropriate GYN care in the future, because she's now under the impression that going to the gynecologist is going to give somebody some insight into whether you've had sex or not. Do you want to know how I tell if my patients have had sex or not? I ask them. That's it. I ask them. A parent should be able to do that too. I don't know Deyjah. I don't know T.I the rapper. But what I do know is that Deyjah and whatever other siblings she has have a body that belongs to them. I don't own my children's bodies, and I don't get to choose how they use them. My goal as a parent and as a doctor should be to give accurate information to my children, to you guys, and to call out when I see a practice that is harmful going on. This is not an acceptable exam, and no physician should be participating in virginity testing of any sort. The hymen has no purpose for sexual intercourse or any indication of whether a person has had sexual intercourse. The culture of owning somebody else's body or having control over a daughter or a son or a spouse is unacceptable. You are in control of your body, and you don't get to choose how other people use theirs. Thank you guys for listening. I hope this wasn't too ranty. I hope you learned something, and we will be back on Monday with a little more humor and still just as much learning. Be kind to yourself, to each other, to me. In the comments, be kind, and I will see you next time.